Good morning, Malaysia. This is Matthias Chang from Future Fast Forward once again. Today, I believe my speech will be one of the most provocative, or not the most provocative I've ever delivered to the country. And there's a reason for that. Since May last year, with the onset of the new government, I had high hopes, as will all of you have high hopes, as to what the new government, with all the promises before the election in their propaganda, in their manifesto, would bring to Malaysia. The slogan was New Malaysia. But let's not be too far looking ahead. Let's be more pragmatic and come to terms as to what has been missing, neglected, or suppressed at the expense of ensuring a safe deposit of votes. That would be a hint as to what I'm addressing. So therefore this morning, I'm willing to issue an open challenge to anyone in Malaysia, especially the political, business, social and religious leaders of our dearest brothers and sisters of the Malay community, Kaum Melayu. Because I could challenge you, why after all these years, such a large segment of our brothers and sisters are still wallowing in rural poverty. Why there's no industrialization, the transformation of the Bumiputra economy. No doubt, when we compare 40 or 50 years ago, income has increased by and large, relatively. If you compare now to 6 years ago. But if you compare income in other areas, in urban areas, in other countries, the income of the Malay community, of the rural economy has stagnated. In fact, regressed. Why? You don't need to have a PhD to be economist to know what's going on. I therefore premise my challenge is that certain policies were deliberately designed and implemented to suppress, to retard the economic and intellectual development of our dear brothers and sisters of Kaum Melayu. Now, to come up to speed with what I would say, everyone thinks agricultural development is a backward concept. We should now go on the fourth industrialized revolution, ICT, technology, what have you, 5G. But agriculture? No, backwater. It's not our priority. Yet, the history of this country and all countries around the world, poverty has always been the main problem of the rural sector. Yet, you out there, and many of you graduates of universities, have to ask the question, how is it the major powers of the world treat agriculture, food security as a national security priority? I repeat it. Agriculture, food security is a national priority and a national security priority. So, I'll ask all of you, can any one of you tell me which country is the largest food exporting country in the world? Which country, number one? I bet you will say India, maybe China, Indonesia, whatever. You'll be surprised. United States of America is the largest food exporter in the world. The number one superpower treats agriculture and food very seriously. Number two, Netherlands, Germany, Brazil, France, China, Spain, Canada. All are developed countries. China is no longer a developed country. It's the second largest economy in the world, and this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 countries who are the largest exporter of agricultural products, food products, are in the developed world. Okay? Do you see any of the third world countries in Africa, in Southeast Asia? No. Then you have, right? Exporting country is one thing. Then 10 world's leading food producing. Another demarcation. Again, China, US, Russia, Brazil, India, France, and Japan. Can you see? These are developed countries. So how can assholes, pseudo-economists tell you and me agriculture is not important, it's not a priority? Yet today, America exports the whole world. The largest exporter, largest producer. Because from point of national security, you have to import food, and especially now in the world's climate of political rivalry, if you don't toe the line, you don't kowtow, sanctions. Can you imagine now? If there's sanctions imposed on any country from importing food, you're finished. There's no need to bring hot war to your country. Financial war, economic war is enough to bring you down to your knees when you have insufficiency in food production. So for any asshole politicians to say agriculture tak kira, not important, 5G, fourth industrial revolution, alright, technology, blah blah blah, is talking cock and bull. Technology is a tool to be applied in every sector of the economy. So, having said that, alright, let me go to more particular. For cereals, right, most of the countries are basically like barley, Russia, maize, United States, millet, India, oats, Russia again, alright, what have you. There's not sufficient in cereals, which are key for survival. For vegetables, for example, the countries are mainly China, India, United States, Canada. Can you imagine? Vegetables. You don't see any, except maybe Philippines, lettuce, number one in the world. The rest are the big countries. So how can anyone therefore say, alright, that agriculture is a backward industry, consigned to, a low priority in terms of budget, what have you. Now, way back, in 2002, I raised the issue to the government then, as a political secretary, that within the broad spectrum of agriculture, there is an area where we can dominate the world. Like rubber, we became number one. Palm oil, we became number one. To use our biodiversity of Malaysia to be the engine of growth and to transform the world economy and our economy in the process. Because experts came to Malaysia by invitation and they say Malaysia is blessed because of our biodiversity, our rich resources, and more importantly, in the field of primary health care. We have three very important traditions: the Chinese healing tradition, the Indian, and the Malays. And what am I talking about? the transformation of the rural sector via the development of the herbal industry, herbal products, and what have you. And as of March 8, 2019, it's been said that the global herbal medicine, a very narrow market, in 2018 was worth 131 billion and will have an annual growth of 4.25%. And then, insofar as the global herbal supplement market is already over 500 billion US, and growth is at 25.2% and estimated in 6 years' time, by 2026 or thereabout, global market will be 719 billion market. And yet, when I proposed this transformative development in agriculture, idiots say it's not a priority. All right? We should focus on ICT, on new technology, 5G, and what have you. Let's pause here for a while. If what I say is incorrect, I'm open, all right, to be corrected. Please ask Tan Sri Rafida Aziz and Uncle Aziz, Royal Professor. They were teaching an entire generation of economists about the importance of the rural economy, the problems of rural-urban drift, rural-urban economic and disparity, income disparity. And yet, after all these years, we have this serious problem of rural income drift, rural income disparity compared to the urban areas. Why? Nothing's been done. And I therefore put to you, my dear fellow Malay and brothers and sisters, you have been brought up in what I call the fear factory and the bunker mentality. In a cocoon, with a dependency psyche, depend on the government, and you'll be okay. Because then you become the safe deposit of votes. Hence, all these years, you only voted for UMNO and UMNO only. You were kept at a certain level of subsistence. Why? Ask yourself. Look at recent Felda. Despite the transformation of Felda by Najib into so-called a global player, FGV, that was a corporate structure exercise. None of the settlers benefited. You still remain as farmers. Likewise, other sectors of the agricultural economy rise. Who has a monopoly? One company. Why should a company have a monopoly as to certain agricultural products? Why aren't the people, the stakeholders of agriculture, form cooperatives for each state, as opposed to one company or one agency having absolute monopoly? Again, the dependency mentality, the fear, they inculcate in you the psychology that you yourself is not able to handle it. So you need big brother to do so. Big brother. And who's the big brother? The brother party, right? Marketed as your sole savior. And what's the result? You have been raped, plundered, for example, by Felda. They formed a company. You had to borrow money to buy the shares and told you overnight you will become a millionaire. What happens now? Your shares is worth nothing, toilet paper, you are still in the settlements as a farmer. Alright? So what can I say to you? Why? Why must the rural economy be any different from the urban economy? Why must all industries be located in the urban area and not in the rural area where the source of supply is there? We were taught, right, at one time, why we must industrialize because our countries, third world countries, we are the supplier of raw materials to the first world country, and they manufacture and we import the finished products. So we should not be a country that supplies the raw materials, be it rubber, rice, whatever. That is on a global scale. Therefore, we have to enter into manufacturing, right? To reverse that cycle of near productive forces of raw materials to be able to manufacture the range. If that principle applies at the national global level, then why not at the national level? Why is a rural area, by analogy like a developing country, only supply the raw materials to the factory in the urban area? The factory in the urban area is like the developed countries, right? America, UK, France, Europe, all right? And the rural sector is like those countries of the third world supply raw materials. So if we argue that we must industrialize to be developed, then why can't we industrialize the rural economy? And I'm told one of the biggest social problems of fellow settlers is drugs addiction. Drug addiction. So therefore, let me tell you that I had submitted years ago that any government that says they are champions of the Malay community must first do this. How to motivate, empower the Bumiputra to achieve global excellence by inculcating the Malay people to be entrepreneurs. Massive transformation of the rural economy. No more to be farmers, but agro-industrial entrepreneurs. Tell me, why is the government, the previous government and the present government, be happy to say, we'll help you, right? Supply you planting materials, pesticides, help you grow your crops. But everything downstream is shipped to the urban area or overseas. So the potential of the Malay rakyat after planting, there's nothing to do. The potential, the ability, the skills are not used after the point of planting towards end products. Why? All the big mills are controlled by public sector companies or GLCs. So therefore, I'm saying to all of you, do not be content with the promises of any political party or government. You have the potential to transform the rural sector as a very strategic sector for our economy and for your well-being. Alright? If we become number one in rubber years ago, supported by the Rubber Research Institute of Malaysia, and we became number one in oil palm, supported by the research efforts of Porim, why can't we be number one or the top 5 producer of agricultural products in the world with the support of a new research institute across the board of agricultural products, specifically herbal products and herbal products industries, because it's where we can excel. It's proven. Now recently I uploaded an article, right, by my good friend Professor Michael Hudson, and he exposed that it was the purpose objective for IMF World Bank those days and now, to tell different countries, focus on plantations products, like oil palm, rubber, what have you, cocoa. So that the rural sector economy, the people in the rural sector end up as employees of plantation. And if at all they have any potential, right, or the empathy to do into such business in planting, is a side business, a side issue. So you could never be an entrepreneur if you're not working in the plantation. You end up as employee and you die as employee. And historically, majority of the Indians were in rubber estates. And the Chinese were in the mining areas. Bear that in mind. In the 40s, 20s, 30s, 40s, right, and 50s, the mining area was in the rural area. The estates are in the rural area. Alright? And the small towns that grew up in those rural areas, for example, Goping mining town, whatever, it's because the mines were in the rural area and requires more towns to provide services for the workers there. The urban area did not grow up as it is. And then invite industry to support it. It's always industry going there first. Those days, mining, rubber, and small towns grew what they are. Or towns were based along ports on the coastline. Ports were essentially trading stations. And they were fastest growing urban areas, but not the rural areas. So you have to ask yourself, why is the government, despite saying about NEP, what have you, refuse to transform the rural economy? They say it's not important. Refuse. And I've shown to you that certain areas, can you ignore a market, combined market of medicinal plants and herbal products, almost $1 trillion by 2025, world market. And you dare tell me, the political leaders, the business leaders, there's not a big market? Over $1 trillion by 2026. Why, therefore, are you, my fellow brothers and sisters of the Malay community, why are you accepting all this rubbish without protest? You have a right to demand the massive transformation of the rural economy. If you don't believe me, invite Rafina Aziz to tell you about her experience as a lecturer, as a tutor, and how she was expounding those days when she was a tutor, lecturer in Malaya, why we need to transform the rural economy. Nothing has changed. What I'm saying here is I'm echoing what she said. She was the tutor, lecturer of Malaya. And then we have now urban slums right in every city along the West Coast. Why? Because when there's a rural-urban drift, the rural workers who come over to from the rural area to urban area, they have nowhere to stay. They can't afford the houses. So the government provides low-cost housing. If you go to those houses, right, you'll be appalled and squalor the condition in which they stay. Packed like sardines. No quality. And you expect the children of those families to excel in education? Education, welfare starts at home. When the children don't have the condition to study, because they expect sardines, and the condition of learning is not there, live in squalor. NEP is useless. Scholarship is useless because the home environment to nurture them is not there. And yet, we encourage this drift, rural-urban drift, and this is a housing in urban area. And say, yeah, I helped you. I'm not sure whether I'm right or not, but I consulted a few friends who are Malays. And I believe, I have so many Malay friends, that the Malays are the most polite people in the world. To a fault. They're so polite even to protest. And therefore, if the government gives them something, they're grateful. They're too polite to say no, to protest. And they're not encouraged to think beyond what they receive. So ask all of you questions, right? In the Bumiputra economy and the community. If someone promises you 1,000 ringgit or 2,000 ringgit, you should be forever grateful and vote for them. If I tell you, why do you accept 1,000 or 2,000 ringgit as a charity? If you can earn 5,000 or more. Now, is it my duty as a fellow brother and sister to you all to say and to show you as a citizen, why do you accept this? For heaven's sake, you have the potential to have 5,000 or more household income. Why do you accept to wallow in squalor, 1,000 or 2,000, in the present day of inflation and economic competition? Because I'm saying to all of you, you have been brainwashed in the fear factory. Fear other races, fear other communities, and live in a bunker mentality that only the government can save you. No one else can save you. You've been brainwashed to accept that. I'm saying to you, liberate your mind. Liberate your mind. There was no free lunch even for the other races. Historically, every immigrant, be it a Chinese or Indian, whatever, were what we call slave labor, indentured labor, slave labor, where they brought in ships chained and stayed in long houses, kongsi, chained after working hours in mines as slaves. I'm telling you, slaves are also the black Africans. In Malaysia, the British did that to the Chinese and Indians. They live in squalor. And because they have nothing but a shirt on the back, they have no choice but to work in those areas, right? And the British conditioned the Malay to think, like, don't worry. You have the land, you own the land as farmers. True. It's an asset. But when you are indentured labor, a slave with a shirt on your back, you have nothing. You have no choice but to crawl your way out of the cesspool of poverty. Crawl your way up. If you're lucky, you end up as a small contractor, and then later, a contract whatever you. The Malay says, this is Tanah Melayu, your land, your majority. But if you're not given the opportunity to transform your land, your farmland, into really the green gold mine, right? To empower your future generation to stand tall. Why do you need to come from rural area to the urban area to seek a living? The universities are in the urban area. If I can imagine, the previous university, Pertanian, UPM, in Bali, urban area. Why can't we have universities, research facilities in the rural area to support agriculture? To have green, emphasize green industrialization in the rural sector. Here we talk about pollution of factories, discharging nonsense into rivers. But agriculture itself cannot be polluting because agriculture is food. Essentially, it's organic. So any industry that utilizes the raw materials, agriculture, food, has to be clean, has to be green. So don't talk to me about greening our country, clean energy, when the only area where we can provide such an environment for clean living is in rural sector. Free of pollution until bastard businessmen, motivated by greed and lust of money, exploit and destroy the environment. If you have been empowered to transform the rural economy, would you destroy the land on which your living depends on? You won't, is it? What you have here is what? Matchbox of industries scattered all over the West Coast. And then rural sector comes to the urban area as cheap labor. Look at PJ around you. Huge factories. And then you what? Low-cost flats. Low-cost flats. It sickens me to say the majority are what? Malays. To feed the assembly lines, the factory, is an eyesore. But because of your culture of being so polite, my most polite friends are Malays. They won't protest. And they're so fervent in their religion. They won't protest. Because they're told, be grateful. And yet they're told, see, the China Kwai, see the Indians, and say, we are the enemies. You look at every housing project, right? It's a direct political policy. Why should there be a low-cost housing, all right, in the housing project? Wealth divided by one road and one area of low-cost housing. Does that motivate you to do well? Or are you angst, frustrated? Why am I staying here in the low cost? When next door, down the road, the only dividing line between the low cost and the freaking rich houses are one bloody road. Who has done this policy? In every housing estate. Why? Then those in those low cost housing are what? Safe deposit of votes. Oh, you give low cost housing, I therefore be grateful to you. But the social impact, the social impact of those kind of development, right, is disharmony, envy. What the hell am I staying here? Why am I not have the opportunity? This is why it's always said, what? China Kwai are rich. They control the economy. They don't control the economy. There is now a rich Malay class, upper class. They control what? All the GLCs. All the big business, they control. Not the Chinese. Banks, universities, the entire middle class, and the underclass. But again, you're too polite. This is one of your characteristics, right? Which I admire most in a Malay. And your faith in your religion. But this can also be the obstruction to your development. And you'll be exploited by the powers that be. Be grateful. We're doing this for you. Wait. For how long now? Since independence, how long? Yes, you improved from before independence. But things is relative, huh? Relative. If you can earn, for example, 6,000, 7,000 household income, why should you accept 1,000? Or 1,500, for example? Why do you accept the squalor of the slums in KL, in Ipoh, whatever? Because you're told, accept it. But for your resilience and humility, you took it. And by the grace of God, you remain calm and not rebel. Any other race, when God would say, it's like, no more! Stop it! Enough is enough. I'm not trying to incite anything. But I'm telling you, my dear brothers and sisters of the Malay community, you got your understanding up the wrong path. Okay? You're angry at the wrong. You are angry and frustrated at the wrong targets. You are told to defend agama, bangsa, and sovereignty, right? How have your own race looked after you? Do you not see with your open eyes the extreme disparity of income? And yet you're expected to obey. I'm not asking for a revolution. I'm asking for a transformation. First of your mind. As an individual, as a human being, are you entitled to resources of this country? Not to be squandered? And you have Malay leaders in the person of Najib, Zaid Hamidi, and what have you, having plundered your economy, misled you, and have the cheek while being charged for corruption and money laundering, continue to lead your community and say, we are able and willing to deliver you from your poverty, from your so-called backwardness. I'm saying to you, my fellow brothers and sisters of the Malay community, you're not backward. You have the brains and the resources. You are capped at that level. Time to wake up. Okay. Now, I'm asking you, please do me a favor, go to every low-cost housing and observe. Why is the government building all this nonsense? So my second challenge to all of you is this. I'm now putting a challenge of the government, present government, and previous government, BN. I can build, not low cost, even affordable housing. Because right now, young people who just joined the job labor force can't even buy a decent home. This is not a problem in Malaysia. Right? In America, Europe, 70% of young people have to live with their parents because they can't afford to buy a house. Some are staying in cars while working, in caravans. But come back to Malaysia. Do you know why? When this problem is housing? Because the rich, filthy developers, GLCs, private companies, right, has overpriced the products beyond the reach of many people because they were greedy. And the banks were greedy. Alright? It was a conspiracy, a cabal. And who suffered now? You are the ones suffering. Of all races. Right? And then they build horrible housing and you're supposed to be grateful? So I'm giving a challenge. Because of the mean income different from each states. I can say in Selangor, I dare challenge that we can provide good housing, fully furnished. You can move in without spending a dime. 2 bedrooms, fully furnished in Selangor. Washing machine, dryer, cooker, fridge, beds, everything fully furnished. Air conditioning, fan, everything. Between 200 and 250,000. In Selangor urban areas. In other states, where the median income is lesser, between right, 180 to 200,000. Depends on location, and even lower. Fully furnished. And I challenge anyone, okay, that I can't do it. On one condition. You in power, since you say you provide the land for this housing to be built, right? Let's do it. You promise 1 million houses in 10 years. Forget about 10 years. Sir. We may not be alive in 10 years' time. My colleague may not be alive in 10 years' time. My fellow colleagues, my firm will not be alive, they will be dead. So let's be too ambitious. 1 million in 10 years' time, right? Let's say, next 2 years, I challenge anyone. We compete. I take a risk. I will deliver 10,000 units across the country. We will set the conditions and the price. Okay? What have you to lose? So to my Malay brothers and sisters, I come forward. I put my neck on the block. I'm taking a risk. Not because I'm a hero, I'm going to make money. Because I'm going to prove a point. No more hanky-panky. No more nonsense. Right? Walk the talk and don't give promises about future. What are you going to do? Okay. Both for housing and both for the transformation of the rural economy. And I'm prepared to work with anyone. Because recently, right, having talked to some leaders, you know what they said to me? I was so shocked. Who's going to do it? Who is going to do it? Who's going to help? I told myself, you're the government. Why are you asking me? Who's to help? Who's going to do it? Hey, you are the government. You find the resources. You delegate. But since I'm told that bluntly, that I'm saying now, I'm responding as a fellow citizen, as a brother to my brothers and sisters of the Malay community. I will do it. I will show the way. Just as I've gone to prison for my principles, I will now show the way. Don't stand in my way. Don't put obstacles. And let the people, the riot, judge me. Whether what I say, what I promise, right, subject to your correction. Go to Rafid Aziz or economists who are known so-called experts about rural poverty. If what I say is rubbish, okay, we have open debate. To the Bumiputra Economic Congress, the Bumiputra Chamber of Commerce, you are big guys there. I am prepared to talk to all of you, okay, anywhere, anytime. And you can check my stats and my figures. Because you have failed your own community. I'm now coming forward to say, enough is enough. Bullshit. Let's get to work. Okay? Right? This is a priority. Don't talk about technology in a vacuum. Don't talk about 12th Malaysia Plan. The 10th Malaysia Plan has not been fulfilled. Roll over to the 11th Malaysia Plan. And last year, we had a midterm review of the 11th Malaysia Plan. For heaven's sake, next year is the end of the 11th Malaysia Plan. Tell us, the country, how much money was spent or overspent or siphoned off, such that the objective of the 11th Malaysia Plan was not fulfilled, as well as what objectives and targets were not fulfilled on the 10th Malaysia Plan, before you talk about 12th Malaysia Plan. And go on a merry-go-round of euphoria. This is what I'm going to promise you in the future. Tell us what have been achieved by the stupid Najib regime, and what have you achieved when you take over? Because you have analyzed midterm review 11th Malaysia Plan. I have not heard one word, one ringgit as to how this money has been spent. Which project has been fully completed? 10th Malaysia Plan. And since 8th Malaysia, the midterm review is 2018, that means halfway. What projects, what targets have been achieved by 2018 or failed to achieve by 2018? Therefore, if you have not achieved by 2018 certain benchmark, we are finished. Therefore, we have to roll over to 12th Malaysia Plan. So if you have too grand a plan, the 12th Malaysia Plan, it will remain unfulfilled as in the 11th and as in the 12th, blah, blah, blah. With that, I would like to conclude by saying, and I'm not saying that we have to emulate China. China has shown the world unprecedented in the history of mankind. In less than 30 years, they've taken 700 million people out of poverty. A country of over 1.3 billion people, 700 billion taken out of poverty, puzzling with potential, success, and now the second largest economy in the world, if not the first, by whichever, if you use other standards of measurement. We are a small country. We are so rich in resources. We are so screwed up by politics. every party, PAS, BN, PKR, Bersatu, talks about Malay unity. Unite for what? I don't know. Unite for what? That you unite to be a safe deposit for power? Or unite to transform what is your right as a human being? To transform the rural sector, where you own the land. Your village is there. Balik kampung. Land is a very important asset. Don't give me the excuse, right, about, Malay Reserve. If I'm a businessman, if you invite me, for example now you have, 3 acres of Malay Reserve land. You ask me to build a factory, I will go there. You know why? No land costs. Give me a lease for 20 years. I'll go. You know why? It's a win-win. If I build a factory on your 3 acres of land, under the National Land Code, what is on the land become part of the land. So end of 20 years, can you imagine, my dear friend Zira or Hamdan or whoever, end of 20 years, you have a factory on your land. For 20 years, you are earning rental income of factory. So who says Malay Reserve, cannot generate income? Bullshit! Bullshit! How do we invite industry to go to rural area? Tell them! Build it! Okay, build it! And just pay us rental. In exchange for what? End of the 20-year period, lease period, whatever, you have a factory land. You can extend the lease, you continue earning income, rental, and you partake in the industrialization of the rural sector. So simple ideas. You don't have to be, a PhD, a foreign donkey in economics or finance. Overnight, the asset wealth of the Malays in the kampung will be transformed. Overnight, from a bare land to income-generating asset. Mind-boggling, isn't it? Huh? But why? Please, my fellow brothers and sisters of the Malay community, ask your bloody MPs, your adons, and the government. Why are you putting a screen over our eyes as if a Malay Reserve is useless? It's a gold mine. The only thing is that they didn't tell you what to do with it. They pretend so that you become the safe deposit forever. Tongkat mentality. Liberate your minds. Be more daring. Continue to be polite, yes. But demand your rights. You want my votes? Deliver. Transform the entire rural economy. Not just a little house. Alright? A little job in a factory. Not enough. Not enough. With that, I'd like to conclude by once again saying, all these things means nothing if when you die, it won't follow you. Because as a person, as an individual, if here is hollow, you have no spiritual values, you don't give thanks to Almighty Allah, you're useless. Therefore, in whatever we do, I say to you, my brothers and sisters, surrender completely to Allah. No reservation, completely. You must have absolute faith that He will always protect, defend, and guide us on the path of righteousness. And then we will get what we want. A worldly success in preparation of our spiritual journey. Then we become a holy, developed person, both spiritually and otherwise. This is important. Right now, this country is hollowed out. There's no spiritual life anymore. When crooks can be leaders, parading, boss coup, then we have reached bottom, understand? Bottom of the degeneration of our values, and our children will suffer. You know why? If he can rob and rape our country financially, the children will follow. Huh? Malu apa? Malu apa? Lagi boleh pencuri. Okay lah. Apa salah? You see? And yet, to the disgrace of the whole world, he's been elected upon as chairman. Advisory Council, UMNO, BN, chairman. Can you see the degeneration? My fellow brothers and sisters of the Malay community, you're the majority. I belong to a minority, I'm a Chinese. I can't do much. I can only speak. If you don't act, you fail, we fail. You're a majority. We succeed doesn't mean you can succeed. We are a minority. The impact's not there. Alright? You say this is a Muslim country by virtue of the majority. Then don't let any other asshole distort the purity of Islam. The guidance of Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing upon him. Why do you allow the distortion? Recently I sent, right, in my WhatsApp, a video of one of my favorite gurus, Swami Radhanath. Please watch that video and find out for yourself. You know, the sincerity, the purity, and the humility in which he preached. He shared his experience. As opposed to confrontational. I defend this, I defend that. I'm right, you're wrong. I go to heaven, you're a sinner. Watch, Google, for your own sake, Swami Radhanath. And you learn. Don't worry, you won't be confused. Best way of learning, right, is how other people interpret, discover their way in this turbulent world and find fulfillment with God. He may be a Swami. He was a Jew. Came into a Jew. Turned to Krishna. So why can't other people turn to Allah? Why it's not happening is because you have people distorting, subverting, committing blasphemy against the religion. You know what? Recently I bought a book by Karen Armstrong. You know what the books he wrote? A Catholic nun. Prophet Muhammad, the prophet of our times. What made a Catholic nun write a book called Muhammad, prophet of our times? Can we, if a Catholic can appreciate the prophet, what more? If we really handle Islam correctly as an instrument of inspiration, and then really we have transformation. Not only within us, but our community and our entire country. So remember my two challenges. Go out, see your MPs, the government, and tell them, fulfill this. And I'm prepared to fulfill it on your behalf. With that, I thank you for your attention and bless you all. Thank you.